Media, where you are.
There are so many demands on you. Demands at home, in the boardroom, and in the bedroom. You have to be jack of all trades. When the moment arises, you're on all the time, always on the clock, always catching up. Take care of you. Introducing Your Media, your podcast network that meets you where you are, when you need it, at your time, in your space, when you feel like it. You come first. Your Media, where you are. With every moment, you are creating an impression. Make sure it's an impression by design. This is the Transcript with Tshiamo.
Thank you for joining us. You are, of course, tuned into the Transcript with me, Tshiamo. So today, as you might know through socials, that I'm very honored to have the guest that I have to join me in the conversation that I'm having. However, before we start, I just wanted to read out this passage to give you context as to today's conversation. This is a quote, the famous quote, which is part of the speech by Nigerian author Lebyane, which goes, "We teach girls to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller. We say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much. You should aim to be successful, but not too successful. Otherwise, you will threaten the man. Because I am a female, I am expected to aspire to marriage. I am expected to make my life choices, always keeping in mind that marriage is the most important. Now, marriage can be a source of joy and love and mutual support. But why don't we teach boys? Why do we teach women to aspire to marriage, and we don't teach boys the same? We raise girls to see each other as competitors, not for jobs or for accomplishment, which I think can be a good thing, but for the attention of men. We teach girls that they cannot be sexual beings in the way that boys are." And then she closes it off, obviously, with her definition of a feminist, which is a feminist, a person who believes in the social, political, and economical equality of sexes. With that said, I'd like to introduce the topic or the conversation head for today, which is debunking feminism. And I am lucky and honored to be joined in studio by someone who I actually look up to. I often tease and I tell her that she employed me for a day to be her personal assistant, literally for a day. And what I thought was going to be a very big platform for me, just like, I don't know. But I'm joined in studio today by media personality, mother, and I think the president of all women issues, Miss Penny Lebyane.
Hello, my beautiful Tshiamo. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, and you?
I can't get over this employment for a day situation.
But that's what happens.
I know.
It literally, I remember sitting in the boardroom and we're talking.
Special year. It's a very special year. Please don't take me back to that. Thank you so much for that introduction and for having me. I am having a day. I am so sorry. I was supposed to be here at 12:30. And yeah, I just had a day. One of my mentors passed away today, and I lost, I think, 30 minutes or so comforting her staff and talking to, the young women that worked with her. That's Professor Lebyane. She's a convener of the Progressive Women of South Africa, which is a group of women from different backgrounds and political fields, as much as she's a member of the ANC, a Women's League, NEC, and she's a member of Parliament. So my 30 minutes of coming out of gym, then, my phone was off, and then I see the message, then I make phone calls. Before I know it, I'm running late. So I'm so sorry. And, it kind of like aligns with today because the conversation that we're going to have, because everything and the things that I do is because of women like her and women of generations before her, and it's the contact and access that I had to women like Professor Kize, that sometimes when I want to just be fab, I remember I can't because they call me out, they send me messages, they ask me questions. When I pay, then I remember, oh, I need to understand the bigger picture, that is not about me. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. Like, this is like, in case you are the president of all things women.
I'm learning too.
But I think let's start maybe at the beginning with maybe when did it all begin? About when I say when did it all begin, I mean take me through. You've spoken in quite intensely of like growing up and how you were, but did you always have that yearning as a child to make a difference, more so for women around you, or the
I think the yearning was more about making a difference for myself. Because I was raised by my grandmother, who was dynamic in her own right, and I saw her do things for herself, and I was inspired by that. And once I could understand how the world system works, I realized, oh my God, this is what she had to overcome to be the kind of woman that she was. She might have not been an academic, educated woman, but she was a rural woman with a sense of self. She loved herself, she took care of herself, she worked with other women in the community, and her no was a no. And she was constantly talking about how, we should walk in love and be supportive of each other and all of that. And I saw her stand up to my grandfather, I saw her call out my uncles, and then I saw her constantly telling my mothers to stand up for themselves and do things for themselves. So that's one part. And obviously, my mother herself, my mother was what would you call the house executive. Really, she never had a full-time career. So the only time she tried to hold a job was work in retail and Jeff Stores. But she's street smart, she's sassy, she read, she's stylish. She was informed about her health, about her body, about beauty, about taking care of children, about saving money, about wanting the best for her family. My mom is a woman who would, force my dad to drive us through the suburbs, looking at houses in the suburbs and just dreaming. She, you know what I mean? Like a visionary, a dreamer.
Yes.
Like when I think about them, I'm like, if I was to describe these women today, this is what I would call it.
Yeah.
So, and then the women around them. My grandmother was surrounded by a group of other women. But they were lame. They were subsistence farmers. If they made any produce, they shared it amongst themselves. There were mango trees. There were, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. She used to make beadwork, sell it. When people go collect sasa, she would do things like that. So she always had her own money. Same with my mom. She sold secondhand clothes. She made curtains. Do you know what I mean? Like, she would trade things. Make curtains for you, make a dress for me.
Yeah.
Butter. Host a party. Play good music, dress up. She knew where to find the best clothes in town. Like, she was a girl about town. So those were the women. But then the women who they had around, sort of like helped me in other things. Like, they had academics around them. They had teachers, they had doctors, they had social workers. So the things that my grandmother, my mother were not. There were plenty of other women who had that.
Yeah.
But there's a way that they honored and respected each other. It wasn't about their qualifications and social standing. It was just about mutual respect and the genuine womanhood and raising their children and loving themselves. So I think for me, I had that sense of responsibility that, I'm going to be that kind of girl. Like when I'm standing up for myself, that by so doing, it inspires others to do that for themselves. So.
I think, you touched on something which came to my mind, I think yesterday or this morning, as well as I was prepping for our conversation. There is a video of a certain Zulu. What's his name again? Big Zulu.
Yes.
And he was sitting up in a podcast and he was being asked.
Talking with
Slicker.
With Slicker.
Yes. And then he's being asked, what do you look for in a woman?
Yes.
And he's like, I don't look for love.
Yeah.
I just want a woman to respect me.
Yeah.
And I was like, fair enough, I hear you, right? But then I sat down like yesterday, as I was doing my research, I'm like, hold on a minute. Nowhere in that does he mention that he would respect her
In return.
in return, you know? And I'm just like, if men also understood that in the same way that they want to be respected, women equally want the same.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of like my opinion of respect is it's earned and not it's not a given
Not a given
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't just
Yeah. And
you earn it. So that to me was just like if people knew that. So what is your take on that? Like,
and I don't think respect being earned and being not a given is a man or a woman thing. I think it's a human thing. And I think for me, a lot of things, the premise of it starts there. But my lived experiences as a woman, so I'm always going to be reflecting based on the experience that I've had as a woman and how the world has treated me and how I have reacted to the world. So, my thoughts on a statement like that is, obviously he has to expand, and correctly so. Respect is it's not a given. I mean, we grew up, as children, we were just forced to respect.
yes.
But I think as adults, it's not a conversation that we just have like that. I even think I'm a conscious parent, which means that I'm really deliberate about a lot of things, how I talk to my children, how I treat my children, because I understand things like concern, and I understand that they are their own persons. They're my children, I break back to them, but they have their own identity. They want to be their own people in the world, so I'm not going to force anything on them.
Yes.
Which is not necessarily how my grandmother raised me, or how my mother raised me, because that's the time that they were being different. But what I've come to understand is that, even with children, you earn their respect. The way you talk to them, it leads to how they're going to talk to you about it. If you want them to trust you, you have to trust them. You have to tell them that I trust you to be responsible, but even if you make a mistake, trust that you can come to me and talk to me about it.
That's beautiful.
And that doesn't mean that I don't get upset or I don't get disappointed, but I'm consciously aware of, like, in me being disappointed or upset, what are the things that I say to my children that are not going to be helpful in the long term. And it's very difficult, especially when you're doing it as a single parent, or you're doing it with, like, my mom, who sometimes spends time with my children, or my brothers, or everybody, because they'll say things like, "Hey, boys don't cry," and I'm like, "Bro, my boy must wail. He must cry. I want him to cry. I want him to tell me how hurt he is, because I want him to be in touch with his emotions." They're like, "No." I'm like, "No, we're not doing what you were raised." And all that speaks to, I'm very deliberate about it. But when it comes to relationships, there's things that, as women as well, there's things that we say, this is what I want from a man. And it's like, okay, elaborate, expand, what involves that? Same thing with this, a lot of men say, I just want a woman to respect me. But what does respect mean?
Yes.
Can they explain in their language what respect means? Because, respect doesn't sound, the way they temp respect is not necessarily what we define as respect. Sometimes they're talking about submission. Even submission is earned. Actually, everything is earned. And sometimes they get confused with when you say you gotta lead the way in showing respect. You gotta lead the way in how you carry yourself, so I can submit. I have a problem with submission, but I need to submit to a vision that makes sense.
Yes.
I'm not submitting to something that does not make sense.
100%.
And I think those are the difficult conversations that we struggle to have in our relationships, especially in the beginning, which is the most important.
And I'm glad you brought up especially the relationship in the beginning part, because how the topic came about was I was having a conversation with my station manager, right, KG, and I can't remember the context of the conversation, but in it, he said something, and then I was like, that's interesting, because I think he, just like most men, the conversation I'm having mostly with men is, they don't know where they stand in terms of today's woman.
Yes. Yes, they're struggling with
Yeah,
a
so
lot.
it's
Yeah.
that whole thing of, when I say this, is it okay? Is it
Yeah.
not okay?
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
And which then brought to the idea to say, let's debunk feminism. Like,
Yeah.
is feminism a thing that the idea makes more sense than the actual practicality of it? Or is it obtainable? And if so, how do we do it? And that's why I reached out to you.
I think the man of today is challenged with the woman of today, the contemporary modern day African woman of today. Because there's the global,
Yeah.
Western, woman. Then there's the contemporary African woman, which is a whole different thing. And I think my grandmother, their grandmothers, their mothers, we were all not socialized with that. Men were given free reign to be and do what they want. They can sit at home and say, I don't want to wash dishes. That's what girls do. Except in homes, where mothers were like, no, that's not in this house.
Yes.
Or fathers who said, not in this house. I could wash a car, I can, as much as I can iron. But I'm definitely sure that my brother couldn't wash the dishes and iron. He would complain.
Yeah.
And my mother is willing to iron for him. That's her sign of showing him support and loving him, whatever. And I've always said, but why do you do that for him?
Yeah.
But she says, I do that for you. I'm like, yeah, but I also can do it for myself. The difference between me and him is that he can't do it for himself.
Yes.
See, I can do it for myself, and I can tell you not to do it. He can't tell you not to do it. He'll say, I don't know how to do it. And that's where I have a problem.
The issue,
I
yeah.
have a problem with him not being able to cook for himself, to clean for himself. I mean, she tried. They do every now and again. But, and if we simplify that way, is that it starts with the basics of that. Can we be in a home where both boys and girl children have chores and responsibilities? Yes. Because home responsibilities are not gender-based.
Yes.
It's about hygiene.
Yes.
It's about hygiene and where we live. And then we take it outside of our home. We go to school and how we socialize. The girls, we were told the girls must clean the floors and whatever. If there was a boy who was interested in doing that with us, they name call the boy.
Yes.
They call them, you're gay, you're this and whatever. And that has nothing to do with their sexuality.
Yeah.
The child just enjoyed cleaning and going to home economics class and all of that. And if the boy was not playing soccer, they were also calling them names. They were not rough. They sissy.
Yeah.
And those things have nothing to do with gender. They have to do with, are you a kind-hearted, natural person? Why do you need to bully other people?
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Stop bullying other people in the name of being a boy.
Yeah.
Have manners and don't be rude because you want to prove that you're macho. And that's where toxic masculinity, starts emerging. Right there in the school field, in the playground, all of that stuff. So, but now, is this practical, this little dream of ours that we have when we talk about feminism and inequality? Because that's really the essence of it. So for me, I struggled as well for the longest time with actually being called a feminist. And
So,
yes, I struggle with it. The most recent is in 2019. I think my full acceptance of that, came in 2019, where I was like, Oprah would call it an aha moment. I had an aha moment. Because I grew up being made to socialize to believe that feminists are supposed to be angry women who are fighting the man.
I was coming to that.
Yes. They were made to sound like that. As much as I had read, conversations and literature, and as much as I was in media, I preferred being called, someone who stands for equal opportunity for women. With do you understand how? I was like, I'm pro women. I was like, I'm pro women and equality, and I would leave it at that. But then I realized that I'm actually just running away from calling a thing a thing.
A spade, a spade.
And also because so much work has been put into the feminist movement that we're all benefiting. And us, sort of like minimizing it to making other people feel comfortable or being liked or heard by certain people because, I'm saying, I'm not really a feminist. Actually, I remember we did a movie about gender-based violence and then they were like, yeah, the reason this GBV is like this is because of all you feminists. I felt attacked. I was like, we're talking about women being killed.
Yeah.
And, gender-based violence and femicide, we're talking about sexual, abuse and all these things. And you guys care about how women are collectively doing that, and it's about protecting women, and you labeling us this? This must have been like in 2013, 2014 then. But I mean, prior to that, I used to go to a young women's network at the Carlton Center. One of the ladies who went there was my mom's friend, we went to church with, and I came across literature like, all sorts of books and write-ups. I mean, that's where I first came across like Essence magazine from the US, talking about people like Oprah and things like that. I must have been 13, 14. And then this Young Women's Network is a precursor to what we call the Gender Commission today. Actually.
Okay.
So this is stuff that I'm talking about. This is things that happened in 92, 93.
Yes.
So do you realize that even when I wasn't calling myself a feminist, I already was a feminist?
Yeah.
And it's because now I was worried about people. And also I didn't go to Wits and study sociology and have a degree in the women's literature and history. How do I even call myself a feminist? Because the other thing is that we associated with academia.
Yeah.
But once I matured and I lived through life and I realized all these experiences and things that I experienced that were harmful towards me, or which were, impediments to my progress just because I'm female.
Yeah.
I realized, oh my God, I have to. I have to go and see this is how it gets defeated. Or this is how patriarchy comes in. This is what feminism is trying to advance. And the most recent incident that I referred to was in 2019 when I did a cover for True Love magazine. And I wore a t-shirt called Begazela for What? Not in 2019. And when Kimon wrote the article, her first words, actually, she quoted Chimamanda. She said, "Are feminists born or made?" And she says, "Born feminist." Penny Lebyane, I lost it. I said, edit that out. So let me tell you, the version that got published is the one of being edited out, not being called a feminist.
Yes.
But my life after that moment, God was like saying, "Oh, so you say you're not?
You're not.
Look at you."
Yes.
My life went 360. And I know it's a long-winded answer, but I came to accept it. Yes, I am a feminist. Yes, I'm an activist. Because these lived experiences speak to that.
And what, when I say debunking, because, the term when you debunk something is when you break it down, what comes into mind?
I think, let me expand on the answer that I was trying to get to. And can we achieve that? We can when we start looking at it from a human point of view first. Treat others as you'd like to be treated, whether you're a man or a woman, queer and otherwise. Let's just start there. If you cut a man, his blood is red. If you cut me, my blood is red.
Yes.
If I cut you, same thing.
Yes.
Now, there's that lot that says, "Oh, now I understand what women are fighting for because I have a daughter." No. You have a mother.
Yes. That's where it should have started.
Yeah,
you have a sister. Yeah.
You have
an
a grandmother who never achieved a lot of things because the system didn't allow her. Imagine if, women were given equal opportunity as far back as 1913 when they marched for pass laws. They just wanted to vote so they can have a say in what the well-being of the country should be. They should talk about their welfare. They wanted to own land. They were not allowed to own land, not because of anything else, just because they're female.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they would have to, if they give birth to children, they have to give up on their dreams. But you had sex with them as a man. This child belongs to you, but your life carries on.
Yeah.
Physiologically, already, they have to take time out.
Yeah.
And now you already have systems that keep them out.
Yeah, so you can't even bounce back. Yeah.
So, so the guys who say, I have a daughter, their daughter likes soccer. They sit and watch, they don't have sons, they just have boys. And they sit and watch soccer with their boys, or their daughters. then girl is as smart as any boy could be, if not smarter. She
100%.
knows the game and whatever. So now you're going to tell the child not to love soccer because she's female.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a sport. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's issues of like equal pay. You know, I've been in broadcasting my entire life. You know, we all go in there for 3 hours. We do the same show, we research our content, whatever. I mean, why do I have to be paid less than the guy
Yes.
if we're doing the same stuff? Why is it that they have to be offered more money than me? Why is it that because, you know, I am female, I'm emotive about certain issues, then I must be, you know, controlled in a particular way? I mean, when they're cold and not interested, they don't get punished. For
Yes. It's like, okay.
it's
You
like
just deliberate,
they can
you
just be a
deliberate.
bad boy and it's okay. Why
Yeah.
can't be an emotive, passionate, moved person? Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the vision and goal is for us to attract listeners, engage our listeners,
And bring yourself.
and bring myself to the
Yes,
experience.
yes,
Why
correct.
am I being chastised for being passionate and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's those kind of things. I mean, there's so much more. You know, we're made to. When they say sex sells, you know, it's us who are paraded there. And I'm not saying women don't have a choice to do that,
Yeah.
but people must understand it's my choice.
It's exactly.
Yeah, don't say, you know, if you're not sex symbol, you're not good enough. You know, if you're pretty, don't be smart. Nobody tells men that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and for the fact that there's laws, you know, and then I don't even want to talk about, you know, periods where, you know, we are different as women. There are women who go through so much pain, they can't function when they're on their periods. And then there's those of us who go through it. But now they must be punished because they need 30 days
body,
off.
yeah,
Their
yeah.
body says that.
Yeah.
Oh, hell to no. That's like so wrong.
Yeah.
And this starts in high school. You know, girls get affected at school because now there are girls who have to stay away from school because of that. I'm not even going to talk about, you know, the inequality of, you know, condoms are free, you know, sanitary pads are not.
Which is something that needs to be discussed
Yes.
because, like,
And, you know, they choose to have sex. We don't choose to menstruate.
yeah,
It's those kind of things. So once, you know, you know, don't we all want to achieve those things? You know, so let's bring in those guys and say, I have a daughter. Don't you want your daughter to know that even if she stays at school for 3 days, she's not going to be penalized for
Yeah.
that? You know, and also that, you know, shucks, you know, condoms being for free and her buying pads affects her pay.
yeah,
Imagine it. So you're not even paid equally, but even
On
the
top
money,
of
on
that,
top of that,
yeah.
that the money that you make, you still have to spend on other things that is not even
that just have to
just
to do.
to do with your
Yeah.
physical thing. So it's those kind of things. I think if people understood it from that point of view, instead of being obsessed with the word, you know, people get obsessed with feminism, activist, you know, leave the labels. Let's talk about relatability, how we do everyday life. I have a lot of amazing men in my life who see it that way, or at least try to,
Yes.
when they don't understand, you know. And I call them, you know, there's calling them out. Then there's a new term that we're playing with, is calling them in. I call them in and say, what is it that you
That's beautiful.
Let's have a conversation
Yes.
about that. You're uncomfortable with that. There's no wrong or right. Say it. Say it to me. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
Let's fix it. See, the West is when they say it in spaces, and then they are cocky, and then they're arrogant, and
Yeah.
they're defensive. Hear us out. You know, there's those ones who go, but why are you shouting? I'm like, because you're not hearing me.
Yeah.
If I say something once and you hear me, I don't need to shout. But I have to repeat the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
But when you want something from me, you want it once.
See, and now, having said that, how do you then? Because I feel like feminists are also labeled as, you know, the angry woman.
Yeah.
And especially that you're black.
The black
You're
angry
already
woman.
black.
Yeah, the black angry
So
woman.
being black already, you're always
Yeah.
associated with being loud.
Yeah.
Now you're a black, loud woman
Yeah.
who is passionate
Yeah.
about women issues, which then means, you know, you're angry. There's something that's you're angry at, and how do you then navigate harmony and peace within?
Myself.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the best place to start, is peace within myself. So I have gotten to a stage in my life where I don't get upset by the labels. Angry black woman, sure. Can you listen close so I can speak softly to you? Because,
Clearly,
clear. And we're living in times now where we've debunked all of those. Like, angry black woman means I'm not taking your nonsense, I'm going to say it out loud. And I like what you said that, already as a black person, we're very expressive. So it's simple. The fact that you don't understand the cultural nuances of blackness is not my problem. There will be vibrancy and loudness when we all gather.
Yes.
It's not a case of and being passionate about saying something does not necessarily mean you're angry.
Yeah.
People, you'll be talking to someone and say, "Why are you shouting?" I'm like, "I'm not shouting, right?" This is how I'm projecting, and obviously, I might be angst about what you're saying. I'm feeling unheard. So, but if you're hearing me, I don't even need to. I'll take it if somebody says, "Don't raise your voice." I can live with that. But once they say shouting, it's a totally different meaning. So I try to get people to give context and meaning to what they say.
What they say.
Yeah, because sometimes we just run with the words, but you just run with the words without context. Like,
and I think words are very powerful.
Very powerful. So I think when people, firstly, I don't receive that I'm an angry black woman. And I also say anger is an emotion that needs to be expressed. But you need to understand the context of why you express it. Anger, showing strong annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. But it's a feeling.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to cause any harm to you, but I'm going to emphatically, passionately express what I need to say now. So don't throw your annoyance at me, or belittle me, or make me sound like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And there will be no anger.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to call it. But it's
hostility.
not, whatever you want to, I am not a hostile person. I've worked in hostile environments. If you're hostile towards me, it's human nature to defend self.
Yes.
It's like when I do interviews, on television, when people do interviews, and when you start attacking someone, they're going to defend themselves.
Yes,
I don't understand why people do that.
Yeah.
Like, people will attack you and they expect you not to defend yourself.
You must.
Then they must call you.
Yes.
It's called gaslighting.
Yeah.
So I tell them, don't gaslight me because you are ill-informed about this conversation that we have, and I happen to have more facts than you do.
Yes.
And the fact that you're a man makes no difference to me. And that we're talking about my lived experience as a woman. I'm going to passionately speak from that experience. You don't have to like me or not like me. If we're friends, you must understand we're going to have those kind of conversations. It's not personal. We need to have it. But I don't walk around wearing the crown and feeling sorry for myself. A lot of amazing women were called angry black women. We didn't know that I was an angry black woman.
Yeah.
Oprah Winfrey was an angry black woman at some point.
Michelle
Obama.
Some of them are still. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also, not all of us are soft-spoken. And that's what people must understand. We all have different temperaments. So it's a reflection of them not understanding themselves. Anybody who's in my life will know that when I get excited, I get excited.
And when you hire people for a day, you hire a person for a day.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. So I don't apologize for apologize for that anymore.
Yeah.
Because that's the stuff that leads you to self-doubt, imposter syndrome, depression and anxiety, because you walk around anxious, thinking, "Oh my God, what are they going to say about me?" And that's that. I don't walk around like a time bomb exploding on people.
Yeah.
I definitely don't do that. And if that's a perception that somebody might have, you've never been in my presence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important also, once, and I'm glad just to touch on the Kimong's, the true love thing. It's because I've also gone through the same thing where there's been a story that we sat down, we interviewed, we had this conversation.
Yeah.
Then you see the final thing, or you see like the rough draft, and because they were feeling some type of way, they've given you a title. And you're like,
yeah. So I think I actually keep going back to that because it was a definitive moment for me.
Yes.
And I think I also believe that we have connections with people. We interconnected, and I think they felt that type of way.
Yes.
They did that.
100%.
Yeah, I was uncomfortable with myself,
yes.
so they had to do that to pull
bring
me
you,
to this
yes,
moment.
yes.
So I'm very honored by that moment. I honor it and I talk about it because I honor it because I was like, whoa, actually, I was afraid, of that.
Yeah.
But now I carry it with confidence. And if that moment hadn't happened, I don't think I would be articulating myself the way that I do. And I think we are in that time. It makes sense. I mean, I don't think I had aimed to speak, fully like that at 18, even though I remember at 18, I was a kid who was reading and hearing about women going to Beijing, the first, one of the stages of women conference. So I grew up reading on those things.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I understood when Kai Fasimi is saying women have a right to be. I understood it then.
Yeah.
I understand it
Now. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the fact that there were men who say things like that,
Yeah.
it meant that the others must
There
have
is
done
room,
themselves.
yeah.
There's room.
Yeah.
It's possible.
So, so the next part of what I want to ask you now is something that I have had challenges dealing with, and it's just simply around the whole. Yes, we want the support of men,
Yeah.
right? But very often, like I sit and I look at the boys' club and how the boys' club has managed, or patriarch has managed to grow and sustain itself because it's a system built on I'm here for you, the same way. You know what I mean? We're boys, we'll get through this. You might fall, I'll pick you up.
Yeah. Or I'll cover you up.
Yeah,
More than pick you up. Yeah.
But it's that whole thing of we're together.
Yeah.
And then I look on the other side, and it's like with women, we're all pretty,
Yeah.
we're all great, but you cannot be prettier than me. And for me, it's like that's where I think the loopholes are, and what then feeds the monster to say if women on their own cannot stand together in solidarity. I think if you look at maybe, I don't know if you've had this experience, but with everything that's happened in the past few years, how many of the people that have supported you have been women who've literally been next to you, and some who, with all the criticism that you get also from women, and does that not get to you to say, but I'm not doing this for myself.
So I think it goes back to when you asked me, what is it that got me to say, okay, I'm going to do this for others. I'm doing it for myself, and I have no expectation. That's first. And also, it's not physical. You see, the boys don't go on about how good they look.
Yeah.
And I think for me, for the longest time, I was, which is also what a lot of boys and women struggle with. I wasn't being Penny, who is vocal, who is visible, because I wanted to be seen how pretty I am. I'm not interested in that. I wanted to be respected for how intelligent I am, how smart I am, how I contribute, how I add value, how I bring myself to things. That's one. I wasn't self-absorbed about the mirror and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying if people are like that, good for them, kudos for them. But I understand the context of when we're dealing with inequality and patriarchy, it's not about how pretty you are.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want to deal with the boys' club, it's not about who's prettier and who's not. It's just like, it's called divide and rule. It's just like when we're talking racism, if you think you're a better black, you will you'll still feel the brunt of it when you think you're at the top of everyone else. So there's no two ways about it. There's no way out. You must accept that it affects all of us. So, and I think unconsciously, that's what I came to understand very early. A lot of people were just like, why can't you just be pretty and accept that? And I remember that I never even cared about being, I actually hated, people going on about, oh, Penny's just a pretty girl,
there's more.
Yeah, because there was always more. Or, she's just a loudmouth. Really? Are you listening to what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I always saw myself as more, So even if, I'm an independent woman, I'm self-reliant. But I understand that in the word independent, there's dependent, which means I can be dependable, So I think maybe it's because I always loved words. So I was so part of people thinking, oh my God, you have an answer for everything, or you argue with me, is because I always ask for context, which was not a popular word like it is now.
Yes.
You know, like, what is your context of you calling me that?
Yeah.
You know, or whether people say, oh, you know, Christians are like this. I'm like, just tell me about your Christian experience.
Yeah.
Don't label me based on who experience.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because one, I'm responsible for myself, my thoughts, and how I bring myself through. And I think being on radio, I understood that, you know, I bring my thoughts through. But now when somebody writes about me, they can edit and put their thoughts to it, in context. And that, you know, that's how I dealt with journalists and you know, generally, whether it's a newspaper or a magazine, that's that. And you know, if I was being interviewed, you know, I used to spend a lot of time thinking, oh, they think I'm this person. And then I realized once I just became myself and told my truth, there's no need for all these other things for me to like hang on them, because I'm living my truth and I'm speaking my truth. And I think that, you know, women need to understand, and we need to teach our girls very early. There will always be someone more prettier than you. There will always be someone smarter than you. Other people will choose other people over you, but that doesn't make you less of anything. One, as an individual. But secondly, when we have a common vision, we put our personal interests aside, because that's what patriarchy wins on. That's what all these isms win on.
Yeah.
You know, classism wins on that. Social, racism wins on that. When we think I'm better than others, firstly, again, it comes back to I'm human. My blood is red. I hurt just like anybody else. And that I would like to be treated this. If it was me, how would I like to be treated? Yeah. So I constantly ask myself that. So, and also what I've come to learn is that our experiences trap us. So there's a lot of people who are trapped in their prettiness. They're trapped in their academic success. They're trapped in their beautiful body. They don't see themselves outside of that. But sometimes what sets them free is seeing someone over there enjoying themselves with less academia nonsense, with less prettiness, pressure. Yeah. And then they're like, why can't I just be that free? Yeah. So I'm that person who's got to be free in spite of all of that. Yeah. And I like starting conversations. I like talking about uncomfortable things. So then we can expand and open in our mind. So I think with these patriarchal conversations of like, so if women really started seeing themselves to say, if this was me in this situation, how would I like to be treated? And have an honest conversation and say, how would I react? It's okay to say, no, I would never been able to handle that way. Yeah. But that's fine. It doesn't mean that you're saying that person shouldn't do that. Yes. Or it's wrong of them. But, and constantly, when you speak to things, always speak to them being there, not them being less. What do I mean? Yes. I made a comment about DJ Zinhle and Enhle one time. They were talking about, Enhle was interviewing DJ Zinhle about, and then the conversation almost went to become about the men that were in their lives. And I said, I wish that they just didn't even talk about the guys. They should just speak about themselves. Yeah. Because that's what the guys would do. Yeah. They would not talk about it. Do you see? Yeah. Now, anybody who thinks, oh, she's jealous because of their boyfriend is missing the point. Yes. The point is, you are in the moment as two women. Yes. Have your bring that to the table. Yeah. Don't include them. Yeah. Because they will never include you in their conversations about them. 100%. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. So even if the context was about the experiences that they've had, don't make it about them. Mm-hmm. Make it about, this is what I've learned. Mm-hmm. This is what I've come to understand. And cliques and all of those things, unfortunately, they're human nature. But when it comes to issues that are outside of our cliques, I'm not going to bring my clique stories to patriarchy conversations and gender-based violence conversations and how women are treated in media. No. I will bring my lived experience, but I'm not going to say, yeah, and then so and so. Even if I know someone who was treated better, I'll say, yes, there are people who are treated better. But I've come to understand that the fear and the experience and the trauma that individual people have is what sometimes holds them back. Yes. And sometimes, there's that Maya Angelou thing that says, when a woman is being herself, I'm paraphrasing, gives permission to others to be.
Yes.
Sometimes that's really what it is. When you are being you, that's what gives.
You're allowed.
Yeah, you're allowed
Yeah.
that. I mean, and it's going to take us a while. It's conversations like this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's us calling each other in to say we need to
I
keep.
like that actually.
Yeah.
Because we need. I'm also
I'm
same here.
calling in. So because it's gotten such a negative connotation.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll call you in. Come here, come closer. Let's have this conversation. You can't be about you yourself and you.
Yes.
If especially when you are afforded platforms. As much as you think you've worked hard to get to those platforms, there's people who've worked for things to elevate to that level
Yes.
for you to achieve
To get
to that.
yes.
They might not physically. Some are physically are dead.
Yeah.
Some they got tired.
Yeah.
They got tired of fighting, and they just said, it's like if I woke up tomorrow and said I'm going to be a housewife and marry some rich guy and you guys will never know me and you'll never hear from me, I would be tired.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the work that I've done hasn't added value.
It's raised.
It just means Tshiamo can pick it up and build on that.
Yeah.
Because that's what womanhood is about. And that's what those boys do when they cover each other, even if it's nonsensical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have integrity in their nonsense.
Yes. and I think I'm so glad that you touched, because this is something last week I had in studio Nina Hasty.
Yes.
And we spoke about, we were talking about reconciling with your past.
Yeah.
But in that, we mentioned how nowadays you have to stand for this and that and that and that. And we have gotten to a point where we choose one.
Yeah.
Like, as much as, there are all these issues around women or that women experience.
Yeah.
Can I be allowed the permission to choose? If I decide mental health is what I want, that is it.
Good for you. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you touched on it, because for what I'm seeing now, especially on social media, is that we all, wherever the wind blows, today we're here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, if you advocate for one thing, it's much easier to be heard, instead of today we're fighting gender-based, you're there.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it's political corruption.
I'm happy for you guys that you guys have the choice. I don't have that. I don't have that because I never gave myself that choice. Because I was a broadcaster from the get-go, and I was a young woman in media dealing with inequality in broadcast, and I have an understanding of the health system. So I became an all-round on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of people used to say to me that, you need to choose one. See, when I go on air, I talk about everything. I choose life.
Yeah.
I get to talk about it. But I understand when people say I can only handle one, because that's the level that they can do that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
What I don't like is people dictating to people what to do.
Yes.
I have a problem with
yes,
it.
that's the point.
That's the point. Yeah. The point is that nobody should dictate to anyone what to do. Because also, when you really do the type of this work, you realize how interconnected a lot of things are. And the worst thing you can do is be misinformed about one aspect of something and how it links to another. Like, there's no way you can talk about women's issues and not be informed about, gender-based violence. Okay, there's no way you can talk about gender-based violence, but you don't understand, for example, the victim empowerment. It's like you need to be able to be informed. And I kind of fought that because I'm a broadcaster. I just wanted to have a broad conversation. So when I do work, I do it from that context. Obviously, it's a different situation to me than other people. But there's nothing wrong with being vested in things. But no one must dictate to anyone. They must do. Each and every one of us' contribution is equally important. Yeah. And people mustn't feel like, oh no, I'm not good enough for this. Oh hell no, every voice counts.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this, I think, social media is what confuses as well a lot of people. And I'm in a very blessed and privileged position because I've done a lot of advocacy work before the advent of social media. Actually, a lot of people in NGOs and spaces would come to me and say, Penny, can you please amplify this conversation? Penny, can you please help us with this? And that's how I realized early on that actually I'm a full-on activist on these issues.
Yeah.
And that's that. I mean, And once you understand, if you say I'm a feminist, I want to dismantle patriarchy and all of that, when you are broad in your approach to things, you realize that there's no way we're going to get there if you're an involved man and bring them on board.
Yeah.
But I can't start a man's organization. I'm not a man.
Yes.
But I work with them.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah. But there's women who've started men's organizations because they felt that strongly, And it's those kind of things. Because then this and I will never say to this feminist who say to me, "There's no way I'm working with those men." I'm like, "That's good for you," but I, because that's my choice. So as long as you don't take my choice,
Yeah.
I mean,
Freedom of choice.
yeah, freedom of choice and association. It's in the constitution.
So we're about slowly getting to the end of it. So I have a segment called The Gag Is.
Yeah. What
And
happens here?
so the gag is where you get to clear the air on whatever that is out there.
Oh Lord,
That-
I can't.
No, whatever you feel like, what,
Okay.
it's misinformed or whatever.
Yeah.
This is where you clear the air.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So I'm gonna play the jingle and then
Okay, I'm
you go
ready.
in for the gag.
The gag is. I'm ready for the gag is.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. We're playing the gag is. Okay, what's the gag?
No, you tell me. You need to.
Oh, I need to tell you what
Yes.
this is from.
So what's the
Oh.
one thing that you just
Okay.
I wish.
It's this thing that, I am bitter, angry, walking around, shooting people, exploding. I'm a really flattery. I'm a happy, gentle soul. Have I ever just shot at you?
No,
For
you fired
reason?
me. That's what you
Yeah,
did.
You're not helping. I'm all different content. It's such a misconception. Like, I am just very headstrong, very passionate, and I take time to be informed about what I'm going to say. I think there was a time where I was anxious about the truth and the things that I say, how other people responded. Now I care not to care, because that me being worried about how I make people uncomfortable by the things they cost me. I got depressed and anxious. I
Yeah.
don't want to be depressed and anxious. I think we need to talk about it, especially if it has to do with my career, has to do with misinformation about me that's out there. I'm not going to keep quiet. I knew early on, being in media, that whatever they write about you, newspapers and whatever, can become the truth about who you are.
Yeah.
So even then, I remember even challenging my station managers and things being written about me in the paper and they say don't respond. I'm like, oh hell no, it's on record. I'm going to write a letter to the Sunday World and say, please, that's out of order. I mean, back then I didn't have budgets like other people who came up later, to sue and whatever.
Yes.
I wish I did.
Yeah. And now they're suing proper millions.
But also now it's not an anomaly.
Yeah.
I was made to feel like, why don't you just accept? That's what makes you're a celebrity. You must accept what they say.
I hate that.
I hate that nonsense.
Yeah.
I hated it from the get-go. And worse, because I had friends who were journalists who worked in newspapers, who told me the process. You submit a story, or somebody submits it in the newsroom, and then I would physically press somewhere. So I understood the process of how does somebody conclude without even investigating? I knew that I have a right of reply. And I studied PR. So I had a problem with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not going to allow that. Because nobody else was doing it, that made me problematic. Wow. So no, yes. All the things that you've heard that I said, I didn't take that. I didn't, because it was not good for my mental health.
Yeah.
That's that. Am I difficult to work with? No, I'm not. I'm straightforward. I like people who are passionate about what they do. I mean, I don't like dictating to people. If we work together, I like sharing a great strategic overview of what we're trying to achieve. And I'd like you to bring your creative ability. But that doesn't mean that I don't know what I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that I can't do it myself.
Yeah.
If you are employed to do that, you must do that. So if you're my producer and you're not sharp and you're good, and you're spending time with me, you understand that I like music, fashion, health, this. It means that when you bring up that content, trust you me, I probably already know.
No,
how
yeah,
to end it.
yeah,
I'm not just gonna sit here and focus on it.
yeah,
You know, and then if I'm saying I suggest let's speak to Tshiamo, it's because I know that Tshiamo is vested in that.
yeah,
And everything that I bring to my work, I've put in the time, the research, conversations, I've built relationships because I really want to bring the best of myself. I am not a perfectionist. I actually don't believe in perfectionism. I believe in being the best that I can be. And if you don't like my best, it's best to tell me. Whatever you don't like about me, I like people to tell me, Penny, I don't like this. I don't think it, Then I can realize, I can say, okay, can I fix it or I can't fix it.
you can't figure
If
it
I
out.
can fix it, I accept. He doesn't like that or she doesn't like that about me, and
Yeah.
it's okay because I've accepted.
Yeah,
So that's that difficult. I'm unapproachable. A lot of men say I'm unapproachable. Well, I mean, you gotta come to me to have a conversation.
yeah,
That's gonna make sense. So I don't get physically stimulated first.
yes,
You need to stimulate
Mentally.
me mentally.
hallelujah, like
You
yes,
don't turn me on by your car.
Yeah.
You don't turn me on by how expensive your clothes are. You don't turn me on by name dropping. You don't turn me on by telling me you're gonna take me to
Yeah.
the D's or the Ritz or whatever. China, I'm the girl who can go to your grandmother's rendezvous and wake up in the Ritz and I'll still be myself.
yeah,
I can't apologize for that.
yes,
That's how I was. That's my trajectory. That's how I grew up. I grew up in my grandmother's rendezvous. 13 hectare land. We left. One day we were in a shack. Then I came in Joburg. I can be in the biggest houses. That's
Yeah.
me.
yeah,
I don't care about your car, your expensive clothes, and whatever nonsense. But if you're talking nonsense to me, I'm going to tell you that's nonsense.
Yeah.
And I don't care how much money you have. It's just that. I am very approachable. You just need to have a sense and mineral approach when you come. I can talk to you about anything.
Yeah.
What else? What other nonsense is there? The other one, people think I'm hung up over certain people. I have publicly not said or gave full stories about certain people who were in my life because I have a sense of self-respect and I have no respect for those people because they lost my respect when they in my life.
yes,
But once they mess with my livelihood
yes,
or my children,
then it's an issue.
it's a lioness. I
Yeah.
am not in control. It's my ancestors. So if my ancestors come up,
Yeah.
I'm going to come back and annihilate them because when they were disrespecting me and taking away from me, they harmed me. And that's what I've come to learn
And
about
everyone,
the outer world.
yeah.
Yeah, and everyone else.
Yeah.
So trying to gaslight me or make me use things like, oh, she's a beta ex or she's a whatever. Those things don't move me.
Yeah.
Because I was Penny Lebyane before I met those people, during,
And
after, and we'll carry on.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's that.
And that's that.
I'm that.
I'm that.
So okay, we're almost at the end.
So that's called what?
The gag
The
is
gag is. That.
the gag.
The gag.
Yes.
Yeah, the gag is that. I think the gag is that. Yeah. And
Okay.
the other gag is that I have never been fired from any radio station, guys. Like it's a myth. Every station that I left on my own terms. There's that gag of going on like, oh, Penny's part of the five people. No. I'm part of the people who said, oh, you don't know what to do with me.
Yeah, I'm out.
I'm out. Or this contract is not working. You can't put that in writing. This is not working. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I can read contracts back and forth. I have 3 lawyers. I've always been
Oh, not an army of that's like
yeah. But I think back in the day I was not crazy about let's sue. But now
yeah.
I'll go to court. I'll test the
We'll do
system.
it.
I'll do it. I'll test the system.
Okay. So okay, now we're moving to another segment which is called the forward. Now, because the show is called the Transcript, we're transcribing your life for a particular topic, right? And this is the forward, and this is from somebody who is either influenced by you or has been around you or something.
Do you have them?
Let's just
Listen.
let's listen.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool. I love it.
The forward.
I've been very lucky with relationships. As to have connected with women who are like-minded, maybe because I always show up in a space quite clear about what my intention is, what my vision is, how I want to be impactful in the world, and it's part of my DNA. So I always seem to attract women who have a similar agenda to mine, and Penny was one of those people. You know, Penny and I have a very personal relationship that extends outside of how people may position her in their minds. She has been one of those people that I know I can call on anytime for anything. I appreciate her, particularly as a woman who is a little older than myself, who has consistently made it her agenda to support women in my era, which we're not seeing a lot of, and I have to be quite honest about that, which is another conversation on its own. But Penny has made it her life's mission to be a woman who is available for other women through their difficult times and to praise them when they do very well. I am so grateful for my friendship with her, and I will continue to support her in the same way that she consistently supports us.
Oh wow, that's Nomdeni. Oh my god, I love her so much. And you know, in my journey in this world, in this industry, and I alluded to that earlier on, that you know, I'm not good with clicks. I'm very good with one-on-one relationships with people, and I don't dictate to people, and I honor people's relationships. Like, there's people that you might be friends with that I'm not necessarily friends with, but my friendship is not dependent on that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to project me into your relationship. And I met Nomdeni in recent time, and you know, I fell in love with her because her energy spoke that. But more than anything else, it's women like her, yourself, as well included, who affirmed the woman that I felt was not accepted. You know, so I didn't fit into cliques, but if I believe in you and what you do and whatever, I'm going to support you in spite of your clique. And other people got confused by that because they couldn't place me.
Yeah.
I was always
Like,
difficult to place.
Yeah.
So this was it's like, because you know, there could be a clique of 10 girls. You know, I mean, I lived in cliques of Sacred Heart girls, you know, private school girls, you know, advertising girls, music girls. I'm just this girl on radio who all of y'all I can have conversations with.
Yeah.
But in that group, I might be close to one or two. So if we went to clubs and they're there, you know, and I'm talking from promo girls to people who are like advertising CEOs now. So this is, you know, popular culture emergence. There's music industry girls or record company girls. But I knew who my people were and I worked with them. And it wasn't a case of like, if 5 of them were fighting with me, I'm just like, I go, all 5 of you, you have a problem with me.
Yeah.
Because of a guy, you gotta be kidding. Isn't the guy with me? Or he's with you and he wants me. Get at me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That was and I think it's also partly because of my work. I got on the girls that I started with at Voice of Soweto didn't go all the way to Metro FM. Very few you know, went all the way there. And very few became, you know, a girl who got to Metro 21 and then you are on SABC 1. Very few became an it girl.
The fly one.
The fly one. And then I didn't realize that was a problem for some people, girls and boys. So for the longest time, I was very naive and oblivious to the fact that I'm Penny Lebyane and was a fly one. So I didn't understand if people felt threatened or intimidated or jealous. I had no concept of that. You know, there were the SABC 1 girls who were like, oh, they all want to come to Metro, but Penny's on SABC 1, but she's not an SABC 1 girl. I was just like, what the heck is this that you guys are going on about? You know? And very few people were affirming to me at the time. The older girls that I looked up to were like, oh, Penny, you need to be careful. Oh, Penny, what's going to happen when you're 10:30? Oh, Penny. They were all cautious and afraid.
Yeah.
And I realized, oh, it's because most of them didn't cross to that level.
Yeah.
So this is uncharted territory. This is my path.
You're the first.
I'm the first. Even though I couldn't articulate it like I do.
Yeah.
And then it was like, what happens if I see a 21-year-old girl who's sparkling, who's on the rise, am I going to be the older girl who says to you, slow down?
Yes.
We are Papa. No. I'm going to be the one who says, sweetie,
Let's go.
let's go, you're on it.
Yeah.
When they say this, oh, I shapeka mute button. You know? And that was that for me.
Yeah.
There was a series called Teen on a Tightrope.
Yes.
A lot of people did that thing where they watch you walk on a tightrope. Like people know that someone is bad to you and whatever, and they watch you and they say it's gonna seem to feel like that.
Yeah.
And that hurt me that people would actually do that. I'd rather have a conversation with you and you don't take my advice.
Yes.
But I don't want to live with the guilt of going,
I could have.
I
Yeah.
could have. And that used to burden me. You know, because I'll talk to every new girl.
Yeah. But then again, the fame
realized-
also is just like
yeah.
very
Jealous,
ujealous.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then I realized that not everybody's going to receive.
Yes.
And also because I was not just talking to them like privately, that I was also speaking on those issues publicly. What started happening to me is that then their mothers would speak to me, or their mothers would reach out to me, or they'll say, "Oh, Penny, I know we have this girl, but my mother was asking me about it." Then I realized, oh, okay, there's others who get it. They might not necessarily be within the industry. So Namdeni, represents a part of that and also when you're going through things, you can feel so alone. Then when you connect with like people who are younger than you or even older than you, not necessarily your peers in space, you realize that there's people who are seeing, hearing, understanding what you're saying.
Yes.
They just don't have access to you all the time.
Yes.
And then again, those who are around you are trapped by their own fears and their own experiences and the traumas that they've experienced. And also, when you're being that person, it scares a lot of other people out.
Yeah.
So they can't go, oh, Tshiamo, you've transitioned to this level. Look at us.
Yeah.
We can't go there.
Yeah.
So they just watch and quietly, But the older I got, I realized that's what it is. So I'm very empathetic. I'm very, like I don't hold any grudges. Unless if you say something directly to me,
Yes.
I'm like, okay, not in my space. I don't like your energy. So I value and appreciate, someone like Mambeni. I mean, I really love her. I love her work. I appreciate what she does. And that's a beautiful forward, Because, once you're over 35, you don't think you can meet new amazing people. You either tolerate the nonsense,
what you have.
what you have, or you stop engaging certain people. And then they're like, yeah, she just stopped talking to me.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm at that point. I'm just like stopping. I'm like,
yeah, you will.
can't talk.
Yeah, you'll have some edits.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I've come to know? You just need to know. I can talk to Tshiamo about this. I can't talk to her about this.
Yeah.
I can go. There's people who I'm not gonna say. Right now, we are going to Cape Town. They're not gonna come. They're gonna think about, oh, where's my bag? Where's this? No, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Right now, we are going to Cape Town.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Ari.
So I've come to know. And then there's those ones who I know for I need to plan 3 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
Or 4 weeks. And then I must say, we're going to arrive at 2 and what?
And leave, yeah.
No, it's just 2 years. It's 2 years because then there's no space for spontaneity.
Yeah.
And I also think, like, generally, it's like that even in relationships.
Yeah.
There's a guy who's just very slow. Lord have mercy. You like him, they just slow. They don't care. But yeah, I love the poet.
Okay.
We're done. Are we?
Last one. This one is called From My Lips to Your Ears. So this is where you impart something from your lips.
To God's ears.
Not to God's ears, but to someone else who's listening to the podcast. This is so if you had to sign off your book, the last page, how would you want, I'm going to play the jingle while you think about it.
Oh my word. Talk about thinking on your feet, Penny.
From my lips to your ears.
Wow. From my lips to your ears. Yours, God, the universe. Wow. You are worth it. You are worth love. You are worth the acceptance. You are worth the success. You are worth the money. You are worth the joy. You are worth the comfort. You are worth the dreams you have. You are so worth it. You are beyond deserving it. You have and it is yours.
Okay. Thank you so much, Penny. Before you leave, I need to ask you, we have a campaign running, and
Yeah.
just want to know, when I say the phrase own your season, what comes into mind? How do you own your season?
I'm an evergreen, all seasons kind of girl. Be here.
That's very quite, that's great because our hashtag actually is where you are, so that's quite
Yeah.
great. Thank you
It's
so
here
much.
and yeah. That's it.
Be present.
Be present.
Okay, so with that said, thank you so much.
Are you sad that I'm leaving?
I mean, you know what? I know we'll meet again and it's always a conversation. But thank you so much for coming in and for allowing yourself to just trust in the conversation and just be in it with me.
Thank you so much for this conversation and congratulations on what you're doing. And have more conversations. You're one of the people who I know will go there in conversations. And the more of us who are going there, the better for everyone else around us. They might not get it now,
Yeah.
but the universe hears and sees us. And we're making a dent.
Thank you so much. I love you too. You're gonna make me cry. Thank you so much. And of course, that is the transcript with me, Tshiamo. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. And like Penny said, be evergreen and be present in the moment.
When you are creating an impression, make sure it's an impression by design. This
Okay,
is the
I'm out.
transcript.